So Jonas, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Yes, testing. Pratyusha, I think you should not adjust anything. Jonas is doing it. Okay. Mikkel, is the stream okay? Should I go live? Okay. Welcome everybody at the Future Challenge booth at Eurobike. The Future Challenge is about the 5 key technologies which will transform the pedelec to a much wider audience of applications, which will be a little bit like 30 years ago when we introduced at Intercycle 1995 the electric bicycle. To the industry, typical reaction was a smile and okay, poor guys. This will never take off, it will never have more than... please take a seat, there are very nice bicycle chairs here. It will be never more than 5%. And some years later, when it had about 10%, it will never be more than 20%. And today, more than 90% of the money in the bicycle industry is made with electric bicycles. But to our opinion, this is just a starting point, because we have key technologies we will change everything. And one of these topics is photovoltaics on the vehicles. And most people also there say, oh, this is nothing. And we will have here Dr. Frieda Herb, who will explain us something about how this works. And he has a proof, very conservative proof with this Swiss postal delivery. So welcome to Frieda.
Thank you, Hannes, for the nice introduction, and also thank you to hear that things. And I like to explain what you can do by the solar energy. But first I will say something about myself. My name is Frieda Herb, and for 3 years I'm working now by Kibbutz in the development department. Before I worked many years by Mercedes, but I also very strong connected to Hannes with extra energy, and we did a lot of different nice things and to bring pedelecs in front, and I think that's a good thing. And another thing, because I also participate by the Tour de Sol in Switzerland, it was 1992. And therefore, it's a pleasure for me now to explain to you what solar energy really can deliver. So let's move now to the next slide. If it's working, let's see. Only a few words to Kibbutz. Kibbutz is also a company now. We are 30 years on the topic, 180 employees, and I think what also is nice, we have 25,000 vehicles on the road, and that means something. And especially our vehicles are in operation in post fleets, and that's a nice thing. And therefore you can easily calculate how much CO2 we reduce, because if you drive with a standard gasoline vehicle, that makes a lot of CO2, so we saved a lot of things. And I will go to the next slide. And there's also something new, what you can see here, that we are in a new building, and the building is really huge, and we are make the assembly in Switzerland of all the vehicles. But now I want to show you, okay, what we did with the solar power. So in 2023, there we built 2 solar vehicles, or we put on the standard vehicles for the post delivery some solar cells, solar roof, and then we had 1 year operation. And this was in Embrach, Switzerland. And as you can see in that slide, how many energy, solar energy comes inside. And it's a typical curve because it shows in summertime you have the most energy, solar energy, and of course in wintertime you have much less energy. But anyway, in the summertime you see on the right side also how many percent the solar kilometer has part of it, and it was up to 71, and some days we had completely solar energy in the operation. And this is really something, because you have to see this is the vehicle, and the vehicle is not so light, and especially they put a lot of letters and also parcel on that vehicle, that the consumption is quite high. Anyway, with 470 watt power, there you get a lot of energy. In one day it's 1.7 kilowatt hour, and with this energy you can operate. Yeah. No, now. Okay, one second. Now let's do it like that. Now you can press. Okay, now we're coming to the technical information. And the technical information about the different vehicles what we used in this test operation. As you can see here, the power was nearly the same of the 2 different vehicles, but what was a huge difference was the battery energy. And on the first one we have a higher energy capacity, 560 ampere hours, and the other one has only 180 ampere hours. And that what we can see was there on the testing, that this battery was too small. So we got more energy out of the solar power in some days that the battery was completely charged by solar energy. So this was also something what we learned out of the test. And another important point is the efficiency of the solar cells has today around 21.8%, and the other one was very high efficient solar cell power, 22.7%. And when I'm thinking back to the time where the Tour de Sol in 1992, so the efficiency was only 11%. So it was a huge increase, and that's also important that we cannot, let's say, we have always to recalculate because technology is changing very fast, and therefore it makes sense also to operate. And here you can again see on the right side how many kilometers the vehicle was in operation every month. And you see usually they driving in the post fleet around 400, let's say 80 or 50 up to also 650 kilometers. So that means in average it's around 20 kilometers per day. And in summertime we could really run up to 368 kilometers per month. And that was only by the solar powered, this distance. And when you look at the VSC solar, we could really 1/3 of the driven kilometer comes from the solar power. So that means 1/3 of the energy you can really get out of solar power. And I think that's amazing because the operation was not optimum. So also on the weekend they put it in the garage, the vehicle, which of course it's not so good because if it's in the garage then you get no sun. So that was one difference. And overall the vehicle runs around 2,000 kilometers only by sun in 1 year. So my calculation before, therefore you can see on the vehicle directly 4,000 kilometers. That's also right, but that means you have to put the vehicle out always and have to place it in the sun. That was the huge difference. And the other difference was, what I not calculated inside, was the different consumption, because they also put a trailer on the vehicle. So the consumption of the vehicle was much higher as if you only drive without trailers. And on the DXP you can also see if you drive less kilometers, of course, then is the part of that, let's say, vehicle of the sun part much higher. So we come up to 42%. Now that's also very nice looking curve, because this curve shows you how over the whole time how much energy you in the end get. It was in Embrach, so it's really not in the south of Europe, it's in Switzerland. So we got 288 kilowatt hours. So you can nearly compare it with also, now I have also a balcony solar powered system at my home. It's a little bit less as this balcony system. And here we could now generate a graph out of the testing. So we know which factor has which influence. And we can see on the X scale it's the consumption, and on the Y scale we have the garage days. And that was the big difference, as I explained also before, where was the test condition and where are the idle condition, and how many kilometers in the end we can get. So these numbers, interesting, are not so far away, because there are also some vehicles where you can buy from Hyundai. They also put some solar roof on top, and they have around 2,000 kilometers per year, also mentioned. But they said in a sunny region in Europe. Of course, the power on that module is only around 200 watts.
Kommt der Jonas noch? Keine Folien? Dann kannst du währenddessen das ja probieren.
And now I like to introduce our new product. And there you can see it's a DXS 5.0, and there we integrated a solar roof with 200 watt power. And it has a nice design. It's integrated now in the vehicle design. It takes also a lot of time to find a good solution. And what is interesting now, this solar roof has also 20%, but it's a flexible solar module. And we have in summer times predicted 10 kilometers per day. And you have also down there a nice graph which showing how many kilometers in every calendar week you can drive in average per day. And because the weather situation also has some fluctuation, that's also one reason why you have a depth down. But overall you can see in summer times you are close to that 10 kilometers per day. And in winter time it's less, but anyway, if you only want to have a share of 50% of solar, for example, then you can also run 20 kilometers. So for people who are not so far driving or everyday use, it's really a good thing, because on one time the solar roof helps that you have not much sun on your head, and on the other side it also helps that you have not to charge every day. And I think that's a good point, and we hope many people now are interested in such a product, so we will soon launch it.
So, that's it.
Okay, that was from my side, so thank you very much. And if you have any question, please start to ask something.
Ja. Freda? Ja, jetzt noch on live. Thanks very much for this proof of one of these 5 topics. And I think even many people are skeptic today. It will be like, as your example with the balcony solar, finally people will do it because it works. Thanks a lot. And yeah, good luck with the product getting into more in the real world. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannes.
Yeah, next we will have a presentation about the stage itself and the inventor of it.
Thank you.
Just sitting here in the audience on one of these nice bicycles. Yeah, Jonas. Welcome on your stage.
Okay.
Frida has the microphone.
Okay. Please.
I can. Good.
Yeah.
Let me just adjust the sound a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
1 second.
He's as the master. Oh yeah. That's important for the live stream.
I have a slide, but it has to be on the computer. 1 second, let me just do that. How can I send that to the computer?
I can explain already something about why this stage is on this booth. Because there's a very good reason.
Sorry?
You have HDMI cable on
This booth is about the future challenge.
No.
You can see on the
Doesn't
pictures,
matter. I will just do
it has to do something with very north of Europe. This future challenge will start next year at the North Cape, the most northern street, as it's claimed in Europe. And why the North Cape? It's very simple, because we want to do a tour with bicycles between sunrise and sunset, 1,000 kilometers. And the typical average speed will be around 20 kilometers per hour in the best case. So that's why we have to go to the polar region where the sun is up long enough to go 1,000 kilometers between sunrise and sunset. So that's the reason why we go there. And first we thought, okay, how can we do it very fast? And then finally some of my neighbors asked me to join. And he's a musician from the Leipzig Symphony Orchestra. And she said, okay, it would be nice that we can have a break while we have a charging break. We also have a break for the people and the locals to join. And then we needed a stage. And then a friend of mine from Hanover said, oh, I know someone from Vienna. And this was Jonas. And he makes this beautiful stages. So he immediately agreed to join so that we can have music performances while we do the fast charging on our tour. Yeah, so this is the short summary.
Yes, thank you. Well, actually, also I like really, let's say, crazy ideas, interesting ideas. This is the way that we move things forward, to think out of the box and do something extraordinary.
Yeah.
I think that also brings us together. And actually, some ideas are actually not so crazy when you really think about it. It's just because people sometimes are not really ready to do it. And that was also a bit how my travel started here with Velo concerts, to actually put a full concert stage on a cargo bike. And in the beginning, people were also just saying, hey, this is this crazy Danish guy riding around on a cargo bike with a stage. But I think now, 6 years later, we can really also say we have really established a new event format. We are in Portugal, Spain, UK, England, Germany and Austria with stages. Yeah. Maybe I should tell a little bit about my ideas behind it. And
please.
For me, also in this context about e-mobility, I think it's one of the very strong tools to actually democratize bike culture. And democratized culture is one of our really key elements for VeloConcepts, that we really want to enable culture to come out everywhere. And with a normal bike, it's basically not possible to bring a full stage, full PA and everything on a bike. But thanks to e-mobility, this is actually possible to get everywhere. We have had tours through entire Austria where we went on the mountains with the entire equipment, completely without cars, where the normal event business would say, no, we always need a van and so on and so on. But we really showcase this is really possible to take everything on a bike. Not only it's on the bike, but it also unfolds within the shortest time. You only need one person. So yes, you save first of all on the mobility, but also on the personal costs. And you say you don't actually need always more to create events. You can actually do less and more efficient. And I think that is very important also to look at efficiency, how we do things to get things more sustainable and more accessible. And especially that part of having e-motors included is making it more accessible for everyone. And that we also see with our audiences. I mean, I had a career for many years as a classical guitarist, playing for a very exclusive audience. And before that was almost the same thing, also biking on longer distances was very exclusive. And I also see that now with our audiences and on bike tours, it's not just the super biker who can ride 50 or 100 kilometers a day, but we have now e-bikes. So for all ages, we have a democratization of the biking culture. And I think that's a very beautiful development that we see, that actually that has made not only on wheel bikes, but also 4 or 3 wheels, that we actually can reach a bigger audience that before were actually, let's say, a bit afraid to bike. I come from a family where we bike. My grandmother biked till she was 96. She now stopped. She's 101 today, but she was a little bit embarrassed that she had to put the bike in the garage. But I think it's really something that we have moved a lot over the last years, that bike has become more accessible. And that's also what we want to do here as ambassadors for biking, ambassadors for culture, to showcase that we can do it everywhere. Yeah?
So it's a very democratic stage here.
It is about democracy. We should all have right to biking. We should all have right to culture. Yeah.
We had with one of the participants of the Future Challenge, Bodo Ramelow, our current vice president, who will also be on this stage here this week at Eurobike on Saturday. He's scheduled now because he had to moderate the German Parliament the whole week alone. So that's why he had to shift to Saturday. And actually, we unfolded your beautiful stage in front of the German Parliament. If you want to see a picture of this is one on our posters. This was just a week ago in Berlin, and it's the first time I've seen the unfolding process. And your colleague from Berlin explained it, and I was just stunned how fast and easy it was.
I think this is also one of the things that is really very important when we want to democratize things and we want to bring new things, innovation. Has to be easy. It has to be easy implemented. The same goes, I mean, you're working also with the standardization of charging. If it's going to be too complicated, it's super annoying. And yes, we really tried that the entire stage here stands within less than 10 minutes. So, and it's quite self-explanatory, and I think we have to think of easy solutions, because otherwise we cannot innovate.
So that's why I'm also really looking forward for next year to have at every charging stop, not only fast charging, but also fast culture.
Yes, that's the way it is. I mean, you have to be able to charge fast, and to unfold fast, to move things faster forward.
So I'm sure we will hear more details during this next days of Eurobike on the story and where it's going next.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And,
thanks for the great joint work here.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thanks.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah. So we have talked about the solar charging and the fast charging, also not only electrical charging, but the cultural charging, recharging, relaxing, and talking and music is a very important way of communication. And interestingly, Energy Bus, the host of the Future Challenge, is about communication as well, and we completely rely on the communication protocol from Canon Automation. And Holger's here, but he still needs to have the small microphone. And I think Jonas still has it on his t-shirt. Jonas, you may come back.
Sorry.
No problem.
Muss nur irgendwie das Hemd klipsen. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I need to switch it on. Okay, yeah. Now I'm online. Okay.
Yes. So Holger is the founder of Canon Automation. This is a few years ago, 1992, and this is, as I always very much simplify, like English for machines. Maybe it's too simple, but yeah.
It's not that simple, but it's a little bit complicated, but it's still simple. Yeah.
So Holger will give us an introduction to machine language and communication, and you brought some topic.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward.
Thank you, Hannes, for the introduction. I'd like to give you a short presentation on CAN-based networks in light electrical vehicles. So this means we have to communicate within the vehicle between different parts, electronic parts, the charger, the battery, the drive, the display, and some sensors and actuators. Our motto is always, if you want to go fast, go alone. This is nice, then you have to discuss only with yourself. But if you want to buy from the market different devices and they should communicate, you need to be a little bit patient, and then you should go together, and then you can go very far. Controller area network is a technology invented in the early 80s, and was then in practice used in different applications since the 90s when CIA was founded. I was not the founder, I was the initiator, to be very precise, and I like to be also always very precise, because we are standardizing things, and if you're standardizing things, then you have to be very precise. There's a long history of the CAN technology. We have improved it in the last couple of years, but still most of the used CAN networks are based on the mature technology, which is available since more than 30 years. To give you a rough figure, per year there are sold about 2 billion of nodes. 2 billion of nodes is quite a lot. What has this all to do with the light electrical vehicles, which includes, of course, e-bikes and pedelecs and some others? You see that you have different electronic components like the voltage converter, batteries, drives, speed sensors, force sensors, switches, etc. And internally we're using mainly the CAN networks. Unfortunately, they are sometimes using proprietary protocols. This means this is the same if you would agree on the Latin characters, and then you have different languages. One is speaking English, the other one is speaking French or Swedish or whatever language you like to use. and then you will not understand each other. So we need, in addition to that, something what is common. Otherwise you will end up, and that what is written already in the Bible, this is the Tower of Babylon. CIA is highly committed to standardization, so we are working in hundreds of committees to prove that CAN can be used and that we have at the end interoperable products for different applications. This starts with road vehicles, modular service robots, and now we are also going into the greenhouse business, livestock, etc. Together with the Energy BS, we have developed the IEC technical specification 61851 in 2023 published. Mainly we supported the subpart 4 and subpart 5 for the CAN open communication in between the battery and the charging system. Additionally, CIA has specified by its own standardized interfaces for the drive control unit, for the human-machine interface, for the generator unit, for the load unit, and some other things. And we have also specified the CAN open profile conformance test plan for pedelecs. Normally we're doing things together with our members in partnership, and you see here an example from the company Pironex in the Hansestadt Rostock. There we have used a pedelec sharing and renting system based on the technology which we have invented. We're not only specifying the communication within the bicycle or within the pedelec, we also specify gateways to the other interesting electronics, for example, for other networks to have access to our internal networks in the vehicle. There we have this AS309 series with part 5, RESTful and WebSocket mapping, so this means we can directly go into the internet. Additionally, we have also for Bluetooth applications 3 standards developed so that you can have anything also on your tool which is not connected directly to the in-vehicle network. This can be done by means of Bluetooth, for example. As well, it's not 100% true what I said, that there's mainly some not standardized higher layer protocols for the in-vehicle networking. There is the FIT 2.0 approach, which is based on our technology, but it has some differences. And you see that the benefit of such a CAN open profile, even if it's today proprietary, that different companies support that for the drive, for example, so you can connect to this network from different brands, the drive systems. CIA offers all parties in the world some services, in particular that we publish specifications. We also have webinars, we have international CAN conferences, and we support, as said already, the standardization of CAN-related communication. And we also provide training capabilities and testing capabilities. This is in brief what I can tell you what we are doing and how we support Energy Bus and all other parties developing in-vehicle networks. This is our main goal, and if you want to contact us and to discuss things in more detail with us, here are some of the email addresses where you can get access. You can have technical questions, you can also have training services, etc. But if you don't know to whom to write just to headquarters, and it will be forwarded to somebody who is responsible for that. Thank you.
Ich hoffe, das waren nicht mehr als 10 Minuten.
Wunderbar, ja. Danke. Yeah, thank you to Holger. Give you an idea how machines can communicate, and now we will hear more details from Torsten Denk of the company Emotas. Emotas is one of the stack providers, so this are the fast lane to energy bus implementation. So if manufacturers have a device like a charger or a display or other devices, they can get with the assistance of Emotas, can accelerate and have a very easy starting point to get into it. Yeah, Torsten is getting ready with his computer on the screen, and we will be with us in a few seconds. So the 5 topics: series hybrid, multi-track vehicles, could be also trailers, photovoltaic charging. This one on your, I don't know. Ja. Gut. Noch zeigen. Umschlagen, ja. Gut. So again, the 5 topics: series hybrid, multi-track vehicle, photovoltaic charging, secure parking and fast charging, and legal as a cycle. So again, we stay in the communication, which is in the fast charging, as well as also in the photovoltaic charging, because you have a discharge and a charge maybe same time, and maybe also several batteries, and all these has to be safe, and therefore they need to communicate. This is the kind of central, the essence what we found in the development of the EN 5064-1, which is the battery safety standard, which is mandatory for electric bicycles by end of August this year to be used, and their communication is mandated between the devices before energy flow. And this is actually where Emotas can help to get this working.
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction and for the opportunity to present something here. My first presentation today will be a technical one, explaining how CANopen basically works, but I could talk multiple hours about the topic, but I try to summarize the most important key facts and features about CANopen in a 50-minute slide. Let's start. What is CANopen? Well, obviously it's a network based on CAN, and it standardizes communication services. So it provides a standardized way how devices can communicate with each other and exchange data. And this is one of the key facts here, for example, to have batteries and chargers communicating with each other. But CANopen isn't new, it's a stable technology which exists for decades, and it's used in multiple industries, so almost everywhere. You can find CANopen on pedelecs, elevators, cranes, a lot of technology around. And well, there's a CANopen conformance test by Canon Automation, and there is a complete CANopen ecosystem with CANopen protocol stacks, tools, trainings and services provided by multiple companies. Well, I mentioned that CANopen is based on CAN, but I have to, it's just one slide or 2 slides about what CAN is. Well, CAN is called Controller Area Network, and that's a connection of multiple CAN nodes or ECUs or devices on a CAN bus. And here on the slide you can see the voltage signals. If you look with a scope on the CAN bus, basically CAN is mature, stable, used in cars for decades, and basically don't worry about CAN communication. Is handled by a CAN controller and hardware, so that takes a lot of thing. But one of the problem or challenges with CAN is that the CAN specification only defines that there are so-called CAN frames with a specific CAN ID and data inside. So there's a lot of data in a CAN frame, but the most important parts is the CAN identifier and the up to 8 bytes of data. And while CAN Open is a so-called a higher layer protocol which defines how the CAN IDs and the data shall be used in a standardized way. On the next slide here we have two gray boxes. The gray boxes shall be CAN Open devices, and these devices communicate with each other by exchanging CAN Open objects. So on the application layer they exchange CAN Open objects, and a CAN Open object can be a single bit, a byte, an 8-byte, 4-byte data, or it can even be a complete firmware which has a size of half a megabyte, for example. And CAN Open defines rules how to send these data, these objects, signals and parameters on CAN frames, and And I have another slide about if you have the gray box again as your CAN Open, your device, and devices basically have an application. So for example, if you develop a battery, then you have to write the firmware for your battery, which would be your application, and at some point of time your customers ask you that your battery shall communicate using CAN Open or energy bus, and that means that you have to integrate a CAN Open object dictionary and CAN Open communication services. Well, in CAN Open terms, a CAN Open object dictionary is like a large dictionary or set of data, all signals and parameters which can be sent or received via CAN Open have to be present in the object dictionary, and CAN Open provides a lot of services to exchange these data, query parameters, write parameters, or send and receive data in a standardized way. Let's more detailed look into such a CAN Open device. For example, here we have a specific application. It's a battery, and there are device profiles for batteries and other things. And such a CAN Open device or application profile, for example, defines that the voltage of such a battery is located at a defined object. Let's say in this example 6040, it has a defined data type, defined units, defined something. CAN Open provides services to read or write, for example, or read in that case, the signal. And there is a CAN Open service which is shown on the right side on the top, where it is possible, for example, to request the value of this voltage, and then the battery will send it back. And the way this communication happens is standardized, so you can connect multiple, let's say, the displays or chargers to such a battery and request the information in the same way if you use CAN Open application profiles. So using this service you can request a voltage or any information and request again and request this again, and then the devices will, the batteries will send the response. But there's also a much smarter service. So for example, in CAN Open there's also the PDO service, which means that you can configure your device that your battery shall, for example, send the same signal automatically every 1 second or 500 milliseconds and something like that. So also CAN Open offers a service for that. As mentioned earlier, one of the key components of a CAN Open device is the CAN Open Object Dictionary, and the CAN Open Object Dictionary is like a set of all objects, data and parameters which are defined in a CAN Open device, and they have a specific address, an index where you can address the data, and they have defined data types and attributes like readable or writable or something like that. And we need CAN Open services, as mentioned before, that we can read or write parameters and signals, and CAN Open provides a service to do that. And the STO service can provide ways to read or write data which are even longer than the 8 bytes of a classical CAN frame, so you can do read more information or even do a firmware download using CANopen. Well, the second service which I had mentioned earlier is the PDO service, so you can configure your device to cyclically broadcast a set of information in a CAN frame. And well, there's more. CANopen offers a so-called heartbeat service. That means the devices send a so-called heartbeat message every second or every 100 milliseconds. And using these heartbeat messages, the devices say, I'm here and I'm fine. And other devices may detect this heartbeat message and decide if the device is still there or if it's not fine. What else? There are services to start-stop reset devices. There is a so-called emergency service defined where devices can send standardized alarm or diagnostic messages. There are ways to synchronize PDO transmissions and actions, and CANopen also provides services for a dynamic assignment of node IDs. And well, there is more. Yes, there is more. In CANopen we have standardized device descriptions, which are called EDS files, and they provide a standardized way to describe CANopen devices. There are a lot of device and application profiles, and one of these device and application profiles is Energy Bus, and there are specifications for firmware download using CANopen. And well, there's still much more, but my time today here is limited, so I would like to come to a summary. And well, CANopen is built on CAN, and it standardizes communication services on CAN. And the key concepts are devices have an object dictionary with defined signals and parameters, and there are standardized services to read, write, and send signals. And CANopen is already used by many e-bike manufacturers or component makers. For example, we have customers who use CANopen in batteries, chargers, displays, motor controllers, even inside the lock or radar components. And well, bottom line is standardization reduces development efforts. Maybe not in the first development, but on the long term and for the benefit of all customers in the market. Well, the final slide is how can we help? Yeah, well, Emotas offers CANopen stacks, tools, bootloaders, integration support, training, consulting. I mentioned that I can talk for 8 hours about CANopen. Our CANopen stack is already used in various e-bike components. I'd like to thank you for listening to my presentation, and if there are questions, ask me now or send me an email. Thank you.
Yeah, Thorsten, thank you for that, for the information. But are there any questions from the audience? If so, there would be a chance now. Otherwise, Thorsten is also on his presentation on this booth. I just heard from the technical team that we will change a little bit on the setting here. So we'll have a short break and then continue with the hardware, which is about the IC standardized connector sets. And the very new thing, just roughly a week ago, the VDA spec on 2 more connector sets in the Energy Bus family has been released, and at least one of them you can already touch. The other one is not yet in a physical sample here, but you will learn something about it. So we will continue in about 15 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
take the look away now? Yeah, I think that should be fine. I guess you take all the time to body. So I will take this away now. You say. Correct? Second. That's 2 degrees. Wäre wichtig, dass es das ist. Aber hallo, speziell für die Städte. Vielleicht checken, dass nicht nur Protokoll hängen bleibt. Wait, maybe he takes mine. No, I am facing an issue with connecting it to the receiver. Maybe you reconnect it. Or you make this on off. Or you make this on off. I'm not sure. I'm going to look. I cannot see it now. I'm not sure. I'm going to look. I cannot see it now. Hello. That's the water.
Check, check, check,
That's me.
check,
Hello.
check.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello. Don't cry too much, Argentina. And Hannes? Okay, we can start. But can you hear Hannes?
It doesn't double. It doesn't double. 1, 2, 3. Here's another maybe. So. Okay.
Nickel. Hello again. We continue with our live stream from Eurobike, and we are here at the Future Challenge booth, where it's about the 5 key technologies which will transform the cycle industry. I repeat this again for the people who are new here. Series hybrid drive with region braking. Second, the multi-track vehicle. So this could be a 4-wheeler, 3-wheeler, or a 2-wheeler with a trailer. Photovoltaic charging, we heard about that from Dr. Frieda Herb of Kübels, from their experience. And secure parking and fast charging. And this is only possible thanks to the IC standards, which allow us to connect devices from different manufacturers. And this is something in private as well in public, and will allow also easy charging and fast charging and secure charging. And the fifth is the legal as a cycle, to keep the cycle available for everyone without a driver license, without insurance needs, a helmet requirement, and so on. And now we will talk about the physical connectors. And here in front we can see a table with a few different connectors from the Energy Bus connector family. And I will welcome Christoph Luft of Rosenberger, one of the early members of Energy Bus.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for coming and also making these connectors, which have been used now by so many manufacturers over the years with the Energy Bus Beta version. And also we have a new family member developed by Rosenberger, and I'm looking forward to hear more details about this from you.
We'll be happy to tell you a little bit more about all of this. I would like to start with this. When I lived in the US, my boss told me, Chris, it's all about money. Okay. But I got an additional conviction when I was living in the US, and what we see is Europe is following a lot the US in lots of things. It's not all about money, it's all about also convenience. And what I want to show you today is about money and convenience, obviously. Because the connectors we want to use here in the standard and what Rosenberger is producing, those connectors are efficient in price, but also very convenient. And myself, as rider of electric bikes and vehicles, is looking into the usability of the connection systems, and obviously not all are very good. And definitely this can be improved. And for this I want to show you something. So my name is Christoph Luft, I'm from Rosenberger Company, and I have been living in a lot of countries also beside the US. I have seen quite a few things, and therefore I want to emphasize this usability topic. I'm idealistic myself, and I love that we avoid trash, that we have common interfaces, which is a very great thing, definitely. But also I'm emphasizing this new point about the usability, and therefore I want to go down to this table and show you the connectors we have in our Rosenberger family, and of which part we have also the Energy Bus connectors and components. So on the one hand, we have the Rosenberger connector, we call it ROPD or ROPDE. Basically it's a magnetic connector, and what's convenient is you can just, it's mating on its own because it's magnetic. And obviously this feature is very usable, so it's very usable, but obviously it costs maybe a little bit more than something else, some other non-standardized connector, but here the usability is just simply excellent. You can drive away, nothing is going to break. The applications are for charging or also for the drive. You can go up to 40 amps at 60 volt DC. So, and we can have up to 4 signal pins. We have also the options of going up to 6 signal pins, but this is a project for the future. We have different variants here. Now what I can show here, on the one hand, we have a straight coupler, we have a right angle coupler, and we have different variants in our portfolio for the headers. So these connectors are currently manufactured in Europe, but we have also, and here we see that we as Rosenberger are a global company, we're implementing this additional connector because not for all environments magnetic connectors are wished by the customers. some want a true mechanical lock. And we have implemented here a connector, we call it ROPO. So it's a Rosenberger power connector. Basically you have a very easy locking mechanism, and it's just a push thing to close it connector, and you cannot release it now. And to release the connector you just need to push here the handle. So again, coming back to the usability, our connectors are usable, very practical in the use, and now standardized. This connector in the IC standard. This connector now, we started with standardization in the VDE standard. So this is what I can tell you about those connectors. Now I would like to come to our web page, because you can find some more information about those connectors on our web page. Okay, so if you go to the web page from Rosenberger, obviously you can see the RoPD, and the Energy Bus variant is the RoPDE. So you have all the technical specification, you have also some movie as documentation also to promote the product and the usability, and we have obviously also the link here to Energy Bus, which is then in the standard, and you have also a leaflet. Additionally, you can see also the contact of the product manager, Alexander Wilsch, who's taking care about the product. He's here also on the Eurobike fair. Should you have questions, you can address it here on the Future Challenge booth. Additionally, I want to emphasize that also other applications are possible with those connectors. Coming back to the usability. We are looking here at the booths from the Future Challenge. We're using at different applications, and not only charging is possible. We have customers who are using those types of products also, let's call them toys. Let's imagine you have a Bluetooth speaker. You want to charge, you want to use, you want to have a party outside with your friends. So you have one of those fantastic bikes where you can put a crate of beer and some barbecue stuff in there, and you can use obviously your battery for having some music. Why not? Other concepts are possible just by the use of these magnetic connectors. You are so flexible, coming back to the usability of our applications, or what is possible with those types of products included in the standard. This was it from my side. Any questions? Hannes, any questions?
Any questions? So the standardized, I should not stand in front of the speaker. From the RBDE version, I heard that there are not many applications yet. How's did the bicycle manufacturers understand this already? Are they asking for this?
Actually, we have more interest from the automotive industry for such type of toy applications, but what isn't yet can happen still.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Then looking forward to see more of them, and also trying to spread the words with the Future Challenge about this standard. And I can say, so far I've seen here a lot of decision makers having a deeper look in it. But as I said earlier on today, it feels for me like 30 years ago when we showed the first electric bikes at the bicycle show, the largest one in Europe at that time, and people are more like, this will never be a success, we know.
Well, I remember even the first electric vehicles, which were basically a bike with a housing around and a 12-volt battery in the back. You might even remind them.
Yes. Yeah, things change thanks to modern technology. So, Chris, thanks a lot. Next, we will learn about the other connectors, which also in the IEC, and therefore I will ask Dr. Felix Friedrich to join. Gibst du ihm die Sache einfach weiter?
Ja.
Am besten gleich tauschen, ja? Physical here, and the other one is just on a poster, not yet there. Yeah, Felix, please tell something about Unicorn and the connector sets.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannes. Also, to have the opportunity to present here our connector system, Energy Lock. After many years of development, pilot projects and standardization, finally we are here at Eurobike and we can present our Energy Lock system, the connectors, the plug and the socket outlet to the publicity. So for this I also will go down and introduce the plug and the socket outlet of the Energy Lock system to you. So together with our partner Easy Pedal, we developed this plug here. We call this Energy Lock Plug 60, and this plug has different functions. First functions and most obvious function is the energy transfer. Energy transfer between a voltage converter and a battery with maximum 60 volt and maximum 60 amps. Second function is the communication. Communication also between voltage converter and the battery. This is done wireless by NFC. NFC has different advantages, especially if you want to charge your battery or to charge the vehicle outside. First advantage is that you have no corrosion because it's wireless. Second advantage is data security. With NFC you have a perfect gateway if you want to communicate, and if you don't want that a foreign person want to see what it is communicated or want to do bad things. So with identification, authentication, NFC is a very good gateway for public charging. Third function of this connector is the locking function. So if you put this connector into the socket outlet, inside the socket outlet will close a lock, meaning that the vehicle is mechanically secured by the Energy Lock system. So this protects against unintended disconnection. So if you charge with 60 amps, you do not want that the plug is disconnected. So it's a prevention against unintended disconnection, but also it's a means against thieves. So it's mechanically locked and it's electronically secured. So we can detect if the cable is cut. And by this detection, we can send signals to the infrastructure or to the vehicle. And by these signals, we can do some things like for infrastructure, we can then give the camera a signal to save the data, or we can send a signal to a loudspeaker or to the police. To the vehicle side, we can send signals that simply the electric motor or battery is no function anymore, or that even the vehicle is locked function of this plug is also like the Rosenberger connector, what we saw now, is that it is standardized. So it's you find this connector fully described in the IEC TS 62196-4 as connector Roman 2. So it's a socket outlet and a plug. So these are the main functions of the connector. Now I want to show you that we have different versions of this system. Up to now I presented to you the 60 volt version of the plug, meaning we have two pins, one with 0 volt and one with 60 volt. We use this connector for e-bikes, so pedelecs, but also for electric kick scooters, for example, or for electric scooters. But if you want to charge with higher energy, so maximum energy here is maybe 3 or maximum 3.6 kilowatt. But if you want to charge with 7 kilowatt, you can simply use this connector. This connector has a pin with 120 volt. So here we can double the energy compared to the 60 volt connector. So this was it, very quick, the main functions of the energy lock system, of the 120 volt connector, of the 60 volt connector, and of the socket outlets, which you see on the show at many different vehicle categories. So we have here on the booth motorcycle, which can be charged by the system, different electric vehicles like electric bicycles, we have kick scooters, and we have scooters here. So thank you very much for your attention, and okay, thank you, Patyush. I can show the socket outlet also for the people in the web. This is like it looks like. Okay. Developed especially for public charging at the outside. So thank you very much for your attention, and if there are any questions, please ask. Thank you. So Hannes, do you have a question?
Yeah, the mass production, that's what I'm wondering most. But the great thing is that there's at least one product from the company Ziegler, and of course from Easy Pedal, the application for the sharing, which implement this already. So that's the starting point. So it's a historic date, June 2025, when these products became available after 15 years of homework since the European Union gave us this task to make the standard charging interface for light means of transport in the modern language. At that time it was light electric vehicles.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, and we will continue here on the stage at 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Testing check.
Hello, welcome back to the live stream at the Future Challenge. Thanks for attending. It's about the 5 topics of the Future Challenge, and there's one subject which is legal as a cycle, and also we present here a new version of the Vienna Convention, which is a bit outdated now. It's coming from a time before we had power electronics and we had something like a pedelec. So this was the age of the mechanical bicycle. And I've here a guest who is coming from a digital age. And I think he has, what I heard, he has in his hands some of the keys to the future, which is bringing us the possibility of such modern legislation, like the chameleon legislation, which would enable us to change the legal entity of a vehicle while riding. So this is at the moment only possible in Switzerland, in Basel, soon in complete Switzerland, but in the rest of the world is still illegal. And I heard from the president of Energy Bus, Dr. Mo Young, about your company first, working on a legal requirement as well, making a battery fit the requirements of the new battery regulation. And yeah, I'm quite curious. I heard many things about it, and I found with Dr. Mo Young that there are many similarities in the needs, which is creating kind of digital twin, which will allow to also later on understand what happened to this device, what was the status, and so on. So I'm looking forward to hear more about this subject.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Hans, for the introduction. Well, first of all, expectation management. And does it work? Yeah, you can hear me? Okay. Yeah. So first of all, expectation management. So if we are preparing the future in all its facets, let's see. But it was first of all very interesting to have the possibility to walk through here and see and read all about the different components of the Future Challenge. And I would like to start out with one that I found particularly interesting. That is the question about what's in the future going to be an e-bike. And maybe we start, or I would like to start with a question that I think cuts to the core of that mission that you have. And that's like, if you have rider behavior determine what's an e-bike, then the question pretty much that comes from it is how can you make sure that you have dynamic classification at all time? And it requires a different shift. It requires a shift of thinking. So we have to start realizing that in order to have dynamic transmission of information about the bike at all times, that we have to enable us to think about these devices from a cloud perspective, because only a cloud will give you the opportunity to have access to all the different components of the bike that you have to have access to in order to determine what bike you're dealing with at the moment. So you have to have access to the engine, to the torque measures, to the battery. And from a regulatory perspective, this is very close to what we have been doing already when it comes to the battery passport that you mentioned. So we have developed in collaboration a first completely workable solution for the battery passport, where we are able to read out all the static plus the dynamic data points at all times and be compliant with EU regulations when it comes to this. So thinking about reading out all the bike data at every point in time to ensure that regulation knows what bike we are dealing with at the moment goes in the same direction. So I think there's a lot of synergy between what technology we have for the battery passport and what will be required for the new idea of what an e-bike is going to be. Is it an S-pedelec? Is it a pedelec? So maybe stepping one step back from the battery passport, the battery passport is part of a broader solution that we are offering to the market. So we have created an entire ecosystem, a digital ecosystem, where brands, suppliers, authorities, shops, and riders are coming together. And it is to streamline cooperation and communication between each entity in there. Because what we realized as well is that one of the key challenges in the market, for example, is to manage after sales. And when we are thinking of changing the future of what's the bike gonna be, the bikes will become much more complex. We will have much more additional components that will be added to the bikes. So we have to be able to manage these more complex systems. They have to be repaired, they have to be maintained, and they have to be compliant. So in our platform, we can push OTA updates. So that requires the bikes not to have to come to the shops anymore. We can make sure that it is compliant with regulation at all times. So I think the move towards a cloud-based infrastructure is essential for the future that you're fighting for. Because if this is not there as an infrastructure, then I think this push will not be possible.
Anyhow, I think you already know this future challenge is an activity of the Energy Bus GmbH, which is daughter of Energy Bus EV, which is NGO, which is held by industry players in the light means of transport business mainly. And together with the sister organization Can Automation, which developed the Can Open and also is hosting these English for machines. We brought also this to the IC standard. So this means that there is an IC standard which describes the communication between electrical components on the CAN bus. Which means that, for example, if you have a battery with the battery passport IoT interface to the cloud, the battery, for example, could be the gateway, also giving information that the blinker doesn't work anymore to the owner of the fleet, for example. So is this something per vehicle you have one internet connection, or how is your architecture idea?
Okay, so for us it is crucial that we allow basically different gateways into our cloud. So you can cloud API into it, you can Bluetooth, IoT. So it depends, like we are offering, for example, an ECU and MCU that can be integrated into the different bike components, but it's up for every individual party to decide how they want to make their data available to us. So, for example, we give up the blueprints for our ECU for free. So it is up for you to make sure that it goes together with your hardware development. Like we have a solution right now where we have an external ECU that bounds it all together. But in the future, it is really up to every individual partner that comes onto the platform, because the idea is once you are on the platform, like the way it is done, we read out the data once. And from then on, it is just plug and play. So every individual unit that comes afterwards with this feature, you just have a minimum fee, and then you just add numbers to it, and it will automatically run without you having to make any changes to the hardware. So you decide. But I believe that the way it is going in the future, more brands are going to develop their own cloud because it gives them access to sensible data. And in the future, I see most collaborations to be through cloud API into our own cloud infrastructure.
If it's about the legal requirements,
yes.
For example, in an accident to determine, was it a motorcycle at this moment or was it a bicycle? And now it's about safety and security of anti-manipulation rules and so on. So that's why I'm wondering if the police would agree to some private collector data which may be altered. So I noticed from, for example, I noticed from accounting where you just shred the original paper, and if you have a certain methodology and software which you use, also the tax authority agrees that this must be correct because it has a secure footprint which allows to determine if it was altered afterwards.
Well, digital shredding is a problem when you have to give authorities real-time access to all the data. And I think this is where the battery passport is a good pilot when it comes to the general idea of having it all cloud-based. Because once you put all the data from the battery there in real time to be read out by authorities, okay, technically it is in private hands, but we have to put it in a cloud format on servers that are EU-based in order to make sure that, I mean, we are compliant with the regulations as they are. And I believe that when authorities consider for the battery passport, for this to be all right with their idea of being transparent, okay, then I believe if we move in that direction with our vision, then we should be compliant with the regulation that would come out of the, the vision that you have to basically define a bike by its usage rather than by its hardware specs. And because there's simply no other way than to think of it in terms of a cloud-based solution, I will take this right now as a blueprint and then move forward from there.
Can you explain? It's not completely clear to me the business model of your company.
Okay. So we create a cloud-based ecosystem, and we are inviting brands and suppliers and shops to come onto the platform to help. Like in the first place, the idea was to streamline after-sales solutions, to cut out time and cost for each player, to cut out the human factor that is a problem in after-sales. And then once regulation moved forward and it came to the battery passport, we realized that the infrastructure that we were building would be perfectly compatible with the requirements of the battery passport. Because for us, it is just an additional offer that we have. Because the infrastructure was there and we were ahead of the time. So we added and developed that component in collaboration with a major battery producer. And as of right now, it is for every supplier and every brand in the industry to just approach us with their different bike components and says, okay, if we don't want to ensure with our own in-house development that our component is compatible with for system integration, they can just simply go through us, provide us with the data, and we make sure that we have system integration through our platform. So they give us a component once, and then we read it out, we include it, we make the connections with all the other players, and then from then on, it is just by unit. And for example, we offer a premium bike shop management system, where every bike shop can just use our management system to gain access to the suppliers and brands and file for any error codes and to get instant support and be able to communicate with the customers directly. So cut out endless phone calls and no more lost cases. So this is where it all came from. And then we started realizing in conversation with brands and with battery providers that there is a need to move towards this cloud-based structure for issues like the battery passport. And then it just keeps going from there. So if we look for 1 to 3 years from now, it is the battery passport. But if you think in terms of 5 to 10 years, also in connection to what your challenge here is, saying, okay, what in terms of monitoring sustainability goals? What in terms of smart mobility in cities? All these possibilities are, deeply connected to you having a cloud infrastructure. So this is what we do. We offer, we are like the plumbing of the industry, we like to think of it. So we have the back end, we offer the gateways, and you decide on how you want to get on the platform. And from then on, it's just plug and play for you, that we manage the rest.
Okay, very interesting. Questions from the audience? Probably they're still coming. And I think especially with the battery passport, it's I guess a little bit like the standard charging interface. Most players haven't spent a lot of time to think about it yet.
I think from what we experienced, most people have not thought about it, but even more of a problem is when you start thinking about it, many think that it is very easy to develop it in-house. And we've spent years on developing the structure, first of all, for an additional purpose, but then realizing the synergies. And we know from our own experience that it is not such a quick fix. And especially since for brands, 2026 is going to be critical when you come up with the new range of model developments, and February 27 is mandatory period start. So there's not a lot of time to come up with in-house solutions. Therefore, I think we offer quite a competitive opportunity for people to just come onto the platform, and the battery passport is like the first obvious benefit that you have from coming on the platform, but the opportunities are endless afterwards. So we don't expect us, and we don't plan on stopping right now. We will bring additional services on top of what we have to offer right now over time, and then it's just a matter of what the brands and suppliers want and desire, and they can pick from the range of opportunities and abilities that we have, and just put together the portfolio of services that they require for their individual use. That's the idea. Interesting ride, and obviously with regulations changing very quickly, I think for the future challenge you have there, you cannot leave it to the hands of the human factor and risk it to be non-compliant, because then also regulations can backtrack pretty quickly. And what a cloud solution does, it keeps it in one hand, and if it is compliant by digital terms, then much more chances to actually move to the future that you're fighting for. Lose it.
Thanks a lot. I
Well,
think
thank you
this
for
topic
having me.
will be getting hotter and hotter the next years.
2027, right? We'll see. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Next, we will have Thorsten Denk from Emotas giving us further information on the possibilities of energy bus. Emotas is the company which is doing the conformance test for energy bus, as well as developed many tools, which makes the life easy, or easier at least, for implementers. So companies who make components. All right, we continue here with Thorsten Denk of Emotas, the company which has developed many tools which makes the life easier for companies to implement energy bus.
Yeah.
So, looking forward.
Thank you very much. My name is Thorsten Gedenk, and I'm one of the managing directors of Emotas, and today I'm going to speak about advantages and implementation options for energy bus. Well, the first question, what is energy bus? Well, most in the audience here will know it, but for those who aren't familiar yet with it, I would like to explain that it is a set of standardized connectors and communication protocols for charging and diagnostic of light electric vehicles. So from the technical point of view, I am going to focus on the communication part because this is what we are doing. From the technical point of view, it's based on the CAN-open protocol, and it is a so-called CAN-open application profile, and it standardizes both communication and device functionality. So yeah, basic or additionally, or yeah, in particular, the communication between the batteries and the chargers are internationally standardized. And now a few slides about the technical background. Well, CAN-open itself is based on CAN, and alternatively, there is a CAN frames on NFC solution available for public chargers. Well, Energy Bus has several standardized connectors, and here, well, it's just one I would like to present. You can see more of these standardized connectors over there at the booth. And well, the first Energy Bus connector has a power line for the high voltage. Then there are 2 pins for an auxiliary voltage and 2 pins for the CAN communication. And the CAN communication is what I'm going to talk about. Yeah. In general, with Energy Bus, you can say that there are so-called active devices and passive devices. The active devices are the devices which are connected to the power line, which is usually or mostly the battery and the charger, but also the motor controller. And there are some so-called passive devices, which could be sensors, displays, gateways, locks, or similar devices. And again, in general, the communication is based on CAN, and CAN-open is used as the higher layer protocol on top of CAN, and on top of that, we have the Energy Bus communication as CAN-open application profile. Well, a few slides about CAN-open. Well, I could speak about CAN-open for a couple of hours, but I would like to summarize in 3 slides here. CAN-open is a higher layer protocol based on CAN, and it defines a list of parameters which are called object dictionary in CAN-open, and it defines a set of services to read and write data via CAN-open, or to send process data in a fast way, or there are defined emergency messages for some special situations. And basically there are so-called device profiles which define both the data and the behavior for specific types of devices. And Energy Bus is one of those device or application profiles, and inside this profile, the batteries, chargers, and other devices are defined. Yeah. One more slide about the CAN-open device model. So basically, the big box here is a CAN-open device. It usually has an application. So maybe if you're developing a battery, you have your firmware, your battery management system. And in most cases, it works well, even without CAN-open. But when your customer tells you that your battery shall use CAN-open to communicate, or when there is a requirement to use Energy Bus for safety and security, then you have to add CAN-open into your device by adding a CAN-open object dictionary and adding CAN-open communication services. I have mentioned already that Energy Bus is an application profile, a CAN-open application profile, and this CAN-open application profile has the definitions for the various components in an electric bicycle, and well, the most important ones are the battery and the charger. And well, I've highlighted these because the communication between battery and charger is also standardized in an IEC technical specification. But Energy Bus is more. It's also defined for motor controllers, displays, and other components. So basically, it is defined which parameters and signals are available for each device, and what is the data type, the value range, some access rights of these of these parameters. There are definitions of behavior and state machines, so how the devices shall communicate or act or exchange the data. There are definitions for the cyclic process data transmission, both the content and the timing is defined, and there are specific alarm messages defined for that. Well, I have here just a part of the CanOpen application profile. For example, for a battery, the most important data are defined, the currents and the voltages, and you can see detailed the definitions, which unit, which data type, and so on. And these device and application profiles define these information or signals for hundreds of different data which might be used in a battery or a charger. Additionally, there are state machines defined. So there are, for example, the energy bus device starts up, and then there is the so-called compatibility check. That means all components communicate with each other, and they check and they are compatible, and then they switch into an operating mode. So when you want to implement energy bus in your battery or charger, you will need a couple of things. For example, energy bus connectors, and we've seen a lot of the 4 types here in previous presentations. You need, of course, a microcontroller with CAN for your firmware, and you need your firmware itself, and then you will need some software for the energy bus communication. And that's what we are talking now in the second part of my presentation. So if you want to implement energy bus in your device, you will need some CAN controller driver to handle the CAN communication in your software. Then you will need a CanOpen protocol stack to handle the CanOpen communication, and you will need additional energy bus specific functions and data structures. And of course, you will need your application, and we have to connect your application with the CanOpen stack, for example. And now it's what we offer. We offer the energy bus framework, and our energy bus framework consists of a CAN driver, a CanOpen stack with all required CanOpen services and all energy bus specific functions you might need. So our energy bus framework provides an easy path for the implementation of energy bus. It's the protocol software in C source code. It includes all the services and data endpoints which you need in your application. And so basically, for example, if you develop a battery, you just have to provide the required data, for example, temperature, voltages, currents, and so on. And the energy bus framework handles the communication part of all of that. There's also a tool which is called Energy Bus Device Wizard, which we use to configure our Energy Bus framework. And you can specify there which device you want to develop. And additionally, you can, it configures the framework, it generates code, and then it allows a simple connection of your application and the Energy Bus framework. And you don't need a detailed knowledge of Energy Bus and CanOpen. Well, you should know what it is and how the principles work, but you don't need detailed implementation knowledge. Here's a second screenshot of each of the Energy Bus device wizard, which is used to develop devices. And we also offer a tool which is called Energy Bus tool. It has a convenient name, and it's used to, you can read out information from Energy Bus components, where you can show all the data in an Energy Bus network or bicycle, read all the data, export them, and the Energy Bus tool supports various CAN interfaces. Additionally, we offer Energy Bus training. So we are involved in the specification of Energy Bus for more than a decade now. And we offer webinars, on-site trainings, consulting, or integration support. So it means we can help you if you want to integrate energy bus into one of your devices. Yeah. And speaking of training, so webinars, the next public energy bus webinar in German is in December, but we can host on demand energy bus training for you if it's required. And I would like to thank you for paying attention. And if you have additional questions, you can send me an email or ask now if there are any questions.
That was the chance for questions.
No questions, probably. Or do you have a question? Simple one.
Simple one.
Yeah.
Why do we need communication between the battery and the charger?
That's a good idea to make sure that the charger and the battery fit together, to make sure that it is safe, that the communication is compliant. That's why we need to have a communication between the battery and the charger. So you cannot just connect any battery with any charger. Yeah. So in general,
soon it's possible. No, it's already possible if you follow the standard.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
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 But before, and that's we have one poster here, which talks about the subject, that there are so many connectors which are very widely used by different industries, and so it happens sometimes that your neighbor has a charger with the same plug and it matches physically, but it doesn't match electrically.
Yeah, that's a big problem. And if you have communication between battery and charger, this problem will be solved.
Good, very good reason to have communication.
Yes.
So don't assume that it will fit. Make sure upfront.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you as well.
Yeah. Next, we will have Ralf Heckel here from the NASA team, or something similar to it. And he's coming from Leipzig, from an association, an NGO, which is doing work with children to learn technical subjects and building moon rovers over the years. A lot already. And now also there the electrification is going into it. But Ralf will explain us more about this in a few seconds.
Yeah, okay, here I am, Ralf Heckel, not from NASA team, from International Space Education Institute.
But you have NASA on your vehicle.
Yeah, this is correct.
Misleading?
Yeah. No, this is correct, because this rover won the fourth prize this year at the NASA Rover Challenge.
Oh.
And here is also a NASA meatball on it, on the front, because it is the first prize from 2019. So we have in 18 years made 4 first prizes, world championships, like Germany is world champion in driving moon buggy challenge.
Wow.
The triple world challenge, this is a heritage. Patrick, yeah. And we have more than 7 places on the podest, like we are now here. This is prize 1, 2, and 3. And we got more than 20 awards. So since 1992, the NASA Rover Challenge was called Moon Buggy Race. Was invented in Huntsville, Alabama, by the engineers who built the Apollo moon rover, the lunar vehicle. Everyone knows it, that astronauts came out of the Apollo capsule, they opened a 4-wheel rover with electric power inside, and they ride over the moon surface with it. This is now 40 years ago. The last rover was in Apollo 17, and the engineers became old, retired, and they decided what they can do to let the fire burning to create future engineers. And what is better to build a cargo vehicle for undulated terrain for kids than to make rockets, and they lost their fingers with that. Yeah? So since 1992, this challenge is existing, and 15 years later, so in 2007, I came with my professor von Puttkammer from the NASA headquarters down to Huntsville, Alabama, looking for a contest for young students, and said, I want to have this. And he said, no, this is not possible because this is a NASA contest. NASA is government, and government is taxpayers' money, and you cannot participate with international students there. So I said, okay, you are the director of the International Space Station. This is a multi-nationality construct. You need to disassemble that if you are not able to let students work multinational on the ground, on our surface, on the Earth, because then ISS has no future. Yeah, and he said, you are right. This was the beginning of the challenge. So I came with one team in 2007. They got the Best Design Award, they got the Rookie Award, and made from the 0 to place number 7 between 100 teams. 3 years later, 2010, we received the first prize. And I said to them, okay, this is not only the first prize, this is now the World Championship. Okay, it was not planned, said NASA, but okay, when you got it, you also need to got the prize, and this was a cash prize of $6,000. This was good, but to invest students or to come with students by airplane and in 6 luggages with this rover, you need to invest more than $10,000. It's okay, but this is a challenge. 5 years later, we came with 3 teams and got the first prize, the second prize, the third prize. From that moment, NASA starts to unlike us. Yeah, the mystic is we work with our students in a kind of evolution. We don't start new things on the white paper. When we start a construction and we decide this construction is good, so we develop them forward, we make an evolution. You see this rover from 2019 and you see this rover from 2025. Between them are 6 years of development, but you see it is kind of the same construction. It is wider, it has engines now, it has other suspension in details, but the main construction is the same. You can fold it in a cube of 1 by 1 meter. You can drive over any terrain with these wheels, also over glass, metal, and hard stones, and something like that. Nothing is possible to stop such a rover when students have enough energy and to drive it. And since that time, 2015, I see also that the bike industry starts to build electric engines inside, to use solar energy. And I pushed NASA and said, let us do electronic inside. So we started with the telemetry to find out data, to find out how strong must be the construction. I pushed them to make motors inside, make a next division what is electronic, what is hybrid, make solar rays on it, that the students are involved in all these kinds of technology. And I said, no way, we need to make this human powered because of the US law. And this is the problem now. Since US have a new president, he cut the budget for international competitions. And so our division, our international participation is hanging in the air. So, but now since 2017, we grow this international division with more than 150 teams worldwide. Lots come from India, some from Africa, Saudi Arabia, and also Mexico, Latin America, and South America, Brazil. So everywhere is driving one of these rovers. They built it in our summer camp in Leipzig and then came to home and made it fit. Our idea with the Future Challenge is now to mold this together. Future Challenge is exactly that, to what I want to push NASA, and they did not agree. Solar power, electric batteries, storage, fast charging, energy bus is exactly that, what students need to understand the future. And the Future Challenge, when I see all the people here, so they are like me, short to be retired. Yeah? What you need here, and the Future Challenge need, is the future. And this is our youth. These are our new generation. So we understand us as a part of the Future Challenge for young people, that they have a free space in the head, that they can design what they want, and maybe that we start inside of that the International Rover Challenge as future of the NASA Rover Challenge, what is now back to a national contest. Yeah, this is what I want to say, and this is what I want to say to you in the internet, to all my friends who are sitting around the world with a rover, unhappy about the score what NASA gives you without transparency in the past time. Let us do this new. Let us make the Rover Challenge popular as international challenge, independent, transparent, and with the pick of the future together with the Future Challenge.
Yeah, for me it's very inspiring to see also here the mechanical age. This vehicle with so many chains and so many mechanical parts, moving mechanical parts, being transferred into a digital age where software becomes the gearbox and electrons replacing the chain.
Yeah, this is a Switzerland watch, what you see here. This is impossible to beat. But you see here also on the movie how hard is this to make this challenge. And I think that a division of this rover challenge will be also the hybrid serial drivetrain and chain for that students who need the mechanic, and maybe also remote control for smaller kids in age of 10 years who need firstly drive with their remote control. This is challenge is to make the things good. But I cannot put a student in the age of 10 years on the programming and said work with hybrid engines. This will not work. He needs his education step by step to make that possible, that we can drive without chains. And I believe that sometimes we will have also a hovercraft, that we don't need wheels and don't need chains, that we can drive on anti-gravity platforms, and with pedals, sure, and the generator. Who knows what will come?
Okay, 2027 Future Challenge. You can see that. Let's see. Thanks.
Danke.